Whispering Pines Estates looked like every other cookie-cutter American suburb on the outside. Neat lawns, white picket fences, kids on bikes. That perfect Sunday morning illusion. But inside the gates, it was a police state run by clipboard Nazis who measured grass blades to the millimeter and fined you for the wrong shade of mulch. And for 32 straight years, Hal Bennett had been the invisible glue holding the whole ridiculous machine together. He wasn't loud. He didn't wear a badge or bang on doors. Hal just showed up at every HOA board meeting with his faded green binder, the one that contained every insurance rider, every vendor contract, every city compliance code the neighborhood was legally chained to. He knew the master policy number by heart, the exact renewal date, the single email address the insurance carrier would actually answer. The other board members treated him like background noise until they needed a signature to keep the pool open or the streetlights from being shut off by the city. Then Kara Ellison showed up. She'd moved in 6 months earlier from some Miami condo, fresh off a divorce settlement, and a LinkedIn profile that screamed disruptor. First thing she did was run for president on a platform called Fresh Start Initiative. Campaign signs everywhere. No more dusty rules. Modernize or else. She smiled in every photo like a realtor who'd just sold you a lemon. At the emergency election meeting, she wore a pastel blazer and pearls, spoke in that syrupy voice that dripped concern while stabbing you in the back. Friends, she cooed into the microphone. We've been carrying dead weight for decades. It's time to right-size our volunteer structure. Some people, well, they've simply aged out of relevance. The room murmured. Everyone knew who she meant. Hal sat in the back row, arms crossed, expression blank as a fresh lawn. He didn't argue. He didn't even blink when the vote came in. 7-2 to strip him of his compliance coordinator title effective immediately. Kara clapped her hands like she'd just cured cancer. This is growth. This is progress. Security, yes. The HOA actually hired a rent-a-cop for meetings. Escorted Hal to the side, door the same way they'd remove a Jehovah's Witness who overstayed his welcome. No speech. No thank you plaque. No goodbye cake. Just a soft beep as his admin portal access died on his phone. He stood there for half a second longer than necessary, staring at the black screen like maybe it needed one more swipe. It didn't. I watched the whole thing from the folding chair in row 3, stomach already sinking, because Hal wasn't just some retiree with too much time. Hal was the neighborhood's insurance lifeline. He was the only name on file with Arcadia Mutual that could authorize renewals, trigger claims, or even talk to the carrier without a 3-week delay. The rest of us were just pretty scenery. Hal didn't fight. He simply nodded once, slow, eerie, like a man who'd already run the numbers in his head 100 times, and walked out carrying nothing but that green binder under his arm. The door clicked shut behind him with the finality of a vault ceiling. Back inside, Kara strutted around the community center like she'd just conquered Rome. We're lean now, agile, no more outdated gatekeepers slowing us down. She used words like synergy and forward-thinking velocity while handing out new laminated rulebooks that added 3 more pages of restrictions on holiday lights. The rest of the board nodded like bobbleheads, too scared to point out that the old rulebook had Hal's handwritten notes in every margin. At 11:47 a.m., exactly 11 minutes after Hal's access vanished, the first low-priority alert pinged the HOA portal. Security contact invalid. Authentication failed. Nobody noticed. They were too busy celebrating with gluten-free cupcakes. By 12:04 p.m., the entire system hiccuped. The vendor portal for Pinnacle Landscaping, the company that mowed every common area and the only one the insurance carrier would accept, froze mid-payment. A yellow banner popped up. Authorized signer not found. Contract suspended. Then the pool maintenance crew texted the board chat. Can't access gate codes or a liability waiver. Shutting down operations until resolved. Kara laughed it off in the group text. Typical tech glitch. We'll have a new coordinator by Monday. Modern problems require modern solutions. She had no idea the grenade she just pulled the pin on was already rolling downhill. I was already at Millie's Diner on the edge of town. Same corner booth by the jukebox he'd occupied every Thursday for 30 years. Burnt decaf, eggs over easy, paperback spy novel cracked open like it was any other day. His phone sat face down. He wasn't checking Slack. He wasn't doom-scrolling neighborhood drama. He was just waiting. Because last month, during one of Kara's first streamlining meetings, Hal had quietly said something that only I caught. If they decide I'm too dusty, let's see how shiny the neighborhood feels when the lights go out. At the time, I thought it was sarcasm. Now I realized it was prophecy. The first real domino fell at 12:23. The city inspector showed up unannounced. Someone had tipped them off about compliance gaps. He took one look at the unmowed median on Maple Lane, the closed pool gate, and the flickering streetlight that Hal used to fix with a single call, and started writing citations. $750 per violation. Per day. Kara's phone started exploding. Residents were already posting in the Facebook group. Why is the grass jungle growing? My kids can't play. Pool closed again. This is ridiculous. One lady even attached a photo of her Yorkie lost in the knee-high lawn with the caption, "Thanks." New management face with rolling eyes. Kara tried to spin it in the emergency board Zoom. This is temporary adjustment pain. We're transitioning to more efficient vendors. But her voice cracked just a little when the insurance portal alert flashed on screen. Master policy verification deferred. Name contact lane wait. Hal Bennett. Required for attestation. Coverage paused effective immediately. The room went dead quiet. Because everyone suddenly remembered. Without Hal's digital signature, the entire neighborhood was naked. No liability coverage if a kid slipped on the wet pool deck. No flood protection if the retention pond overflowed. No defense against the inevitable lawsuit when someone's roof leaked and the city blamed the HOA for neglected maintenance codes. Kara's smile froze like cheap Botox. It's just paperwork. We can fix this. But the system didn't care about her pearls. It only cared about the one name that had been there for 32 years. The name she just deleted like yesterday's spam. And somewhere across town, Hal Bennett took another sip of decaf, turned the page of his book, and waited for the screaming to start. The panic didn't explode all at once. It seeped in like sewage backing up through the pipes, slow, foul, impossible to ignore. By 1:17 p.m., the Pinnacle landscaping crew had already packed up their mowers and left the gates. Their contract explicitly required Hal's electronic approval for any work order. Without it, they were legally exposed. The foreman actually texted the board, "Sorry, folks. Our insurance won't let us touch a single blade until the authorized contact is restored. Call us when you fix your Karen problem." Kara read that out loud in the Zoom and nearly choked on her kombucha. How dare he? This is extortion. No, Kara. This was consequences wearing work boots. Residents started flooding the emergency hotline, the one Hal used to answer at 2 a.m. during storms. Now it rang straight to voicemail with Kara's perky new recording. "Thank you for calling Whispering Pines. We're experiencing growing pains. Please be patient." Growing pains. That's what she called the fact that the retention pond was now a mosquito breeding ground because the maintenance vendor refused service. Or that the security cameras on the main gate had gone offline after their annual compliance check failed. One homeowner posted a Ring video of a coyote strolling through the playground at noon. The comments were vicious. This is what happens when you fire the only competent person. Kara Ellison for president of the unemployment line. Inside the board chat, things were deteriorating faster than a cheap lawn in July. The treasurer, sweet old Mrs. Delgado, who'd never raised her voice in her life, typed in all caps, "The insurance portal is showing red. We are uninsured." Do you understand what that means? Kara, try to play calm. We'll just appoint a new contact. I'll be the signer. I'm president. The system laughed in her face. Literally, when she tried to upload her own credentials. The portal spat back. Modification of named security contact requires 10 business days written notice and formal insurer approval per Section 14E. Unilateral change renders policy inactive until resolved. Hal had initialed that clause in blue ink on the original hard copy stored in the community vault. Next to it, in his neat handwriting, no substitutions without continuity. Protect the neighborhood. Kara stared at the scan page like it had personally insulted her Botox. This is archaic. We'll sue the insurance company. Legal counsel, our part-time guy who mostly handled noise complaints, cleared his throat on the call. You can't sue them. Hal built the language. It's ironclad. And right now we're naked. One slip-and-fall lawsuit and the entire reserve fund is gone. Plus city fines are already at $4,200 and climbing. That was the moment the first genuine scream happened. Not from Kara yet, but from the group chat when someone attached the latest violation notice. $1,500 for failure to maintain common areas per City Ordinance 7.3. Kara's face on camera went from confident to cornered raccoon in 0.3 seconds. She started pacing, pearls swinging like a noose. Fine. We'll call him. Offer him a consulting gig. He'll come crawling back. They tried. Oh, they tried. First, the group text. Hal. Quick question. Any chance you could pop by the portal and authorize a couple things? Smiling face with smiling eyes. No response. Then the official email from Kara herself. CCNG the entire board. Dear Hal, due to an unfortunate miscommunication, we would love to discuss a short-term advisory role at your earliest convenience. Best. President Ellison. Read receipt. Delivered. Reply none. By 2:41 p.m. The pool was officially closed with bright yellow tape. The landscaping crew posted a public notice on their Facebook, temporarily unable to service Whispering Pines due to client compliance failure. Sorry, neighbors. Residents were losing their minds. One dad posted a video of his kid trying to play soccer on what was now basically an unmowed wheat field. My HOA dues just went up 12%. And now this? Kara, fix it. The board Zoom devolved into finger-pointing. Kara blamed legacy systems. The vice president blamed poor documentation. Nobody blamed the obvious, that they just fired the only human being who understood the entire machine. Hal, meanwhile, was on his third cup of diner coffee. His phone had buzzed exactly once, from the intern who still had his private number. The message was simple. Everything's falling apart. Please. Hal typed back 9 words that would later be screenshotted and circulated like contraband. I'd have helped if I were still employed. That text hit the board chat at 3:06 p.m. The temperature in the virtual room dropped 10 degrees. Kara's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping on the dock. Someone actually whispered, "We are so screwed." And still Hal sat there, calmly turning pages in his spy novel, waiting for them to figure out the only way out was through him. The emergency board session was called for 3:30. By 3:28, half the neighborhood was camped outside the community center, holding signs that read, "Bring back Hal," and "Kara ruined the Pines." A local news van had even shown up. Somebody leaked the insurance lapse to Channel 7. Kara walked in wearing fresh lipstick and the expression of a woman who knew her throne was on fire. She opened with her signature line, "This is temporary." The room answered with silence, so thick you could spread it on toast. Because by then, everyone understood the cold truth. You don't just delete the guy who wrote the manual. You consult him before you even open the binder. And Kara had ripped out the foundation, thinking it was wallpaper. Now the whole neighborhood was tilting, and the only man who knew how to straighten it was sipping decaf 3 miles away, smiling like he had all the time in the world. The insurance portal didn't just blink red anymore. It screamed. At 3:47 p.m., the Arcadia Mutual dashboard locked everyone out with a full banner message. Policy suspended pending authorized contact restoration. All claims and renewals deferred. Neighborhood liability exposure, extreme. Beneath it, a helpful little countdown. Fines accruing at $2,300 per business day. Kara stared at her laptop like it had grown teeth. This can't be legal. Our part-time attorney actually laughed. A dry, bitter sound. It is. How wrote the clause? You voted to remove him without the required 10-day notice. Congratulations, Madam President. You just voided $18 million in master coverage for 312 homes. The Zoom grid filled with pale faces. One board member, quiet Mr. Patel from Phase 3, finally spoke the words everyone was thinking. We need to call him. Not email. Not text. Actually call. Kara's knuckles went white around her pearl necklace. Fine. Put on speaker. They dialed Hal's number from the official HOA line. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then his voicemail kicked in, the same dry greeting he'd used for decades. You've reached Hal Bennett. If I didn't answer, there's a reason. No option to leave a message. Mailbox full. Kara tried again from her personal phone. Same result. That's when the real meltdown started. Residents outside the center had started chanting. Inside, the board was chain refreshing the portal like addicts. The treasurer was calculating daily exposure on a napkin. $7, $800 by tomorrow, $31,200 by Friday will drain the reserve fund in 9 days. Kara slammed her fist on the table. This is extortion. He's holding the neighborhood hostage. No, I said quietly from my seat in the corner. He's just not working for free anymore. You fired him, remember? The room turned to me like I'd spoken heresy. But nobody argued, because every single person there knew I was right. At 4:11 p.m., the first vendor termination notice arrived via certified email. Pinnacle Landscaping. In light of your current gap in indemnity coverage and unresolved breach of continuity, we are formally withdrawing services effective immediately. Then the pool company. Then the security firm that monitored the gates. Then the snow removal contractor. Even though it was July, the contract required continuous compliance. The neighborhood was now officially ungoverned, uninsured, and unmowed. Kara tried one last Hail Mary. She borrowed the treasurer's phone, thinking maybe Hal had blocked her number specifically. It rang straight to the same voicemail. She held the phone up like it had betrayed her. That's when Emily, the new intern who'd shadowed Hal for 3 months, spoke up softly. He's not coming back unless we give him what he wants. Kara's head snapped around. And what exactly does he want? Emily slid her phone across the table. On it was the screenshot of Hal's 9-word reply, now forwarded to half the neighborhood. Kara read it, blinked, read it again. Then she did the one thing no one expected. She laughed. A high, slightly hysterical laugh that echoed off the community center walls. Fine. Offer him double his old stipend. Consultant title. Whatever. Just get him on the line. They drafted the email together. Hands shaking. Emergency consulting contract. Immediate start. Double compensation. Short-term only. Sent at 4:29 p.m. Hal's reply came at 4:37. Not an email. A single PDF attached to a secure portal none of us had ever seen before. It wasn't a resume. It was a term sheet. For bullet points. Bold. Unflinching. Retainer at triple former compensation. Paid quarterly. No clawbacks. Title. HOA Sovereign. Zero oversight. No reporting lines. No contact with or approval from President Ellison, direct or indirect. Termination requires 90 days written notice and unanimous board vote excluding current president. Upon signed agreement, all attestations and vendor access restored within 8 minutes. The room read it in stunned silence. Kara's face went the color of spoiled milk. Sovereign? Is he insane? Mr. Patel cleared his throat. We're exposed for $18 million. The city just doubled the daily fines. And the news van outside is live streaming. Sign it. Kara tried to argue. She really did. She paced. She threatened lawsuits. She even cried a single strategic tear. But every time she opened her mouth, someone else reminded her of the growing mob outside, chanting, "Bring back Hal." At 4:59 p.m., the CEO, no, wait, the board chair, opened DocuSign with trembling fingers and signed. Every single board member followed. Even Kara. Her signature looked like it had been written by a hostage. The PDF flew back to Hal at 5:02. 8 minutes later, exactly as promised, the insurance portal flipped from red to green. The master policy reactivated. Vendor contracts unlocked. The landscaping crew texted, "On our way." The pool gate buzzed open. The city fines portal updated to compliance restored. The neighborhood exhaled for the first time in 6 hours. Kara sat there staring at her screen like someone had just rewritten her entire reality. Because they had. The official announcement went out at 5:17 p.m. via every channel the HOA owned. Email, app push, Facebook, even the old-school marquee at the front gate. Effective immediately, Hal Bennett has been reinstated in the newly created role of HOA Sovereign. All compliance, insurance, and vendor authority now reports exclusively through his office. President Ellison will transition to a strategic observational role. Translation: Kara got sent to corporate Siberia with a fake title and a badge that no longer opened anything important. She tried to protest in the board chat. "This is outrageous. I built the Fresh Start Initiative." Nobody answered. They were too busy watching the landscaping trucks roll back in like the cavalry. Kids ran outside, screaming with joy as mowers started up. The pool lights flipped on. Even the street lights that had been flickering all day steadied themselves like they'd never been sick. Hal never came back to the community center. He didn't need to. His new login bypassed every approval chain. Requests now went through a secure portal labeled simply Sovereign Access. No emojis. No pleases. Just submit and wait. The first thing he did was quietly remove every new petty rule Kara had added. Those 3 extra pages about holiday lights and mulch color. Residents woke up to an updated rulebook that was actually readable again. The Facebook group exploded with celebration posts. The Karen reign is over. Hal is back and better than ever. Kara's carefully curated Fresh Start signs were quietly taken down overnight by facilities on Hal's encrypted instruction. But the real gut punch came the next morning. A single brushed aluminum plaque appeared beside the reinforced door of the HOA office. No ribbon cutting. No ceremony. Just the plaque. Installed at dawn. Compliance begins with continuity. In honor of Hal Bennett, HOA Sovereign. Residents stopped to read it and smiled. Some took selfies. One guy left flowers. Kara saw it on her way to the gym and nearly rear-ended a golf cart. She stormed into the office, demanding it be removed. The facilities manager, now reporting only to Hal, simply shrugged. Sovereign order. Can't touch it. That was the moment Kara realized she wasn't just demoted. She was obsolete. The quarterly city audit came 2 weeks later. Normally, those inspections were chaos, board members scrambling. Fake smiles. Desperate last-minute fixes. This time the lead inspector walked in, glanced at the updated compliance dashboard projected on the wall, and actually nodded in approval. "Who's your contact of record for insurance and ordinances?" he asked. Same board tone as always. The entire board turned toward the screen without hesitation. One line glowed softly. Hal Bennett, HOA Sovereign. The inspector raised an eyebrow. On site, the new board chair, quiet Mr. Patel, shook his head. "No, He's above the policy now. The inspector actually chuckled. Smart man. Wish my office had one of those. Kara sat in the back row, pearls replaced by a bitter expression, saying nothing. Her strategic observational role apparently meant she got to watch everyone else succeed without her. Hal never gloated. He never posted a victory lap. His work came in encrypted packets from wherever he chose to be, sometimes the diner, sometimes his back porch, sometimes nobody knew. The neighborhood simply worked again. Lawn stayed perfect. Insurance stayed active. Vendors stayed happy. Fines stopped, but every once in a while, someone would notice a new subtle change. The HOA app now had a single button labeled Sovereign Review. Click it and your request went straight to Hal. No committee, no Kara, just quiet, competent execution. Residents started calling him the ghost in the machine, affectionately. Kids left thank you drawings at the community center addressed simply to Mr. Sovereign. Kara tried one last power play. She circulated a petition to rebalance board authority. It got 7 signatures, 3 of them her own family members, and died faster than her original Fresh Start initiative. The final nail came during the next monthly meeting. Kara tried to speak first, as she always had. Hal's new protocol flashed on screen automatically. All agenda items require sovereign pre-approval. Her microphone cut out mid-sentence. She sat down slowly, face burning, while the rest of the board continued as if nothing had happened. Because for them, nothing had. The neighborhood was finally running the way it always should have. Quietly, efficiently, without the screaming. Hal never reclaimed his old desk. He didn't want the water cooler gossip or the welcome back cake. His presence was architectural now, not performative. You didn't see him work. You just watched things not collapse. And somewhere, in that same diner booth, Hal Bennett turned another page in his spy novel, took a sip of decaf, and allowed himself the smallest, most satisfied smile. The man they tried to erase had just become the one thing they could never remove again. 3 months later, Whispering Pines Estates looked better than it had in years. Lawns were emerald. The pool sparkled. Even the controversial pink flamingo lawn ornaments, once banned under Kara's reign, were back, because Hal had quietly updated the rules to live and let live. The Facebook group had renamed itself Hal's Pines in an unofficial poll. Kara's posts received 0 engagement. She still showed up to meetings wearing her pastel blazers. But now she sat in the last row, pearls slightly crooked, smile forced like cheap veneer. Her strategic observational role had been further clarified in the updated bylaws, observer only. No speaking unless recognized by Sovereign. She hadn't been recognized once. The real victory wasn't loud. It was in the small things. When the July storm knocked out 3 streetlights, the repair crew showed up within 40 minutes. Hal's portal had already approved the work order before the first resident even reported it. No emergency meeting. No panic texts. Just quiet competence. When the city tried to slap the neighborhood with new sidewalk regulations, the inspector took one look at the updated compliance dashboard, saw HOA Sovereign Hal Bennett at the top, and simply stamped approved without asking a single question. Residents started leaving gifts at the community center door. Homemade cookies, thank you cards. Even one guy left a 6-pack of Hal's favorite diner coffee. Nobody knew exactly where he lived anymore, but everyone knew he was watching, protecting. Kara tried therapy. She tried a new hobby. She even tried moving to another neighborhood. Rumor was she listed her house last week. But the real estate agent quietly mentioned in the group chat that the buyer specifically asked, "Is the Sovereign still in charge?" Yes. Yes, he was. The final scene played out on a crisp October morning. The annual HOA appreciation picnic, traditionally Kara's chance to wear a crown and give a speech, went on without her. Instead, a simple folding table appeared beside the plaque. On it sat a single green binder, the same one Hal had carried out the day he was fired. Inside, a handwritten note on the first page. Structure is silent until tested. Thank you for remembering. Hal. No speech, no ceremony, just the binder and the plaque and the neighborhood quietly enjoying itself for the first time in years. I stood there with my plate of potato salad, watching kids chase each other across perfect grass while parents laughed without looking over their shoulders for rule violations. Somewhere across town, Hal was probably finishing another chapter in that same spy novel. Phone on silent, content in the knowledge that the machine he built had finally rejected the virus that tried to delete him. Kara drove past the gate that afternoon in her oversized SUV, windows up, sunglasses on, pretending not to see the new banner someone had hung across the entrance. Welcome to Hal's Pines, where competence reigns. She didn't wave. She didn't stop. She just kept driving, pearls probably clutched in one white-knuckled hand, realizing too late that some positions aren't given. They're earned. And once earned, they're never surrendered. The man they tried to erase didn't just come back. He ascended, and the neighborhood finally, blessedly, breathed easy again. Because in Whispering Pines, the real power never needed a title, a blazer, or a loud voice. It only needed one quiet guy who understood that the rules you write today are the walls that either protect you or bury you tomorrow. And Hal Bennett? He built walls nobody could tear down. Not even a Karen with a clipboard in a god complex. End of story.